Welcome back to week 2. We're going to be talking about chapter 4 today, so please watch this before we start off. Today I am in the greatest place in the world, a supermarket. Let's span and take a look at a supermarket. Why is this the greatest place in the world? Because you can see how brands are merchandised, competitive information, and you can really understand from a market research perspective. And that, my friends, today is what we will be talking about in chapter 4 of this lecture. So today, the product we're going to focus in on, Pepsi. I'm going to be grabbing a pack of Pepsi and ask you to follow me along. And let's make sure we watch out for those competitors buying Coca-Cola. We'll be back in a second. Welcome back. Week 2, Managing the Marketing Information Systems, Chapter 4. The core aspect of here, market research. Why does a marketer want to manage all the information? The one core element are customer insights. And those are the most difficult to reach. Why? Because consumers lie. Within focus groups, they'll often say what they feel should be said, even on a survey. Have you ever completed a survey and said your salary was a little bit more than it actually was? Perhaps you have. These are all aspects that a marketer has to deal with and truly understand. So this chapter, which is a very long chapter, I will be honest with you, but I really need you to spend time. I have narrated this chapter as well as we go through the core marketing information systems and all the elements that marketers have to take a look at. We take a look to understand customer insights, which are the freshest, most important aspects. Think about all the customer touch points. Touch points are when you purchase a product, when you call about a product. Any aspect that engages you with a brand is information back for the marketer. We look at a couple of brands, of course. We are going to focus on the Pepsi brand, but before we look at the Pepsi brand, we'll look at a case study from Altoids. Perhaps you're familiar with these curiously strong mints. Altoids did some market research to understand their core segment were males, working collar, perhaps went out during the evening to bars, etc. Maybe we're smokers. So based on all of those insights, they created ads. Take a look at the ads, understanding the profile of the consumer and the insights that Altoids got and why they put out certain advertisements. Next up, we are going to discuss the Pepsi case study. Not this core Pepsi, as you see. This Pepsi, does anyone know in terms of market share where Pepsi is? There's 3 giants in the beverage industry through research and trends. Obviously, it used to be forever Pepsi and Coke. Coke was number 1, Pepsi was number 2. But a couple of years ago, something dramatic happened. It was called the Pepsi Refresh Campaign. It was a sustainable campaign, but what occurred was Pepsi spent so much time on sustainability and building this campaign, they took their eyes off the field. And by taking their eyes off the field, they lost their market share. So now the top 3 beverages in the world, Coca-Cola, Diet Coke, and Pepsi. Will Pepsi ever come back to retain its number 2 spot? You should continue to watch Pepsi to see the marketing and the campaigns. Coke is obviously a historical brand with much different of a brand personality, but Pepsi is trying to be more hip and really trying to blend in with sustainability. But a couple of years ago, they made a huge mistake. But the Pepsi we'll talk about today is Cafecino, a blend of coffee as well as caffeine, and the aspects they were trying to find in terms of trying to find a consumer niche to really engage with this brand. It's an international market research study, but what you will find in market research is you have to define your problem. What was the core problem? Was it that caffeine and coffees could not mix in the same sort of aspect and go towards a specific target audience? We're going to look at that. We're going to look at how to approach research, observational research, sampling pools. What are good sampling pools? Who should you ask questions to, and who should you not ask questions to? We will go through all of this, and as well as the entire marketing information system. And if one element within that system breaks down, the entire process does not work. Like a link in a chain, everything has to be connected and working perfectly. We will look at all of this information, and I hope the case study on Pepsi Cafecino provides some additional insight through the narrated PowerPoints, and then we'll go just through the information of data, how much of our data is out there. Research counts on it for trends and patterns. But from the public policy standpoint, when is enough too much? When is too much enough? How much information is out there? How many times we see about 5,000 ads a day? How many times are we filmed? Every time we go into the bank, every time we scan a card. Market research encompasses all this, and a marketer must take that data and information. When is it too much information from the marketer? We're going to explore all of this in this chapter. But like I said, please take your time and read it slowly and carefully. Market research is the core of marketing. I do not move forward with market research until I do not move forward with marketing until I understand market research. You cannot know where you're going until you know where you've been. And there's two types of market research. Quantitative. Think large quantities of information. If you've ever been stopped in a mall, that's a mall intercept study. Or qualitative, or quality, focusing in and honing on aspects. That may be more along the lines of focus groups or one-on-one to get your opinions. All of this will be covered today in Chapter 4. Please load up the separate segments because Scholar cannot take an upload of a 46-slide PowerPoint in one load, so unfortunately we had to segment out the slides, but I hope you enjoy it. Please let me know any questions. Consider this as you look at your discussions for this week about the best campaigns for the Winter Olympics and what market research they may have done to reach those campaigns. Thanks so much, and I'll see you online real soon.